Okay, a couple of follow-up notes from our last session. We'll start with the takeaway since that's what we spent most of our time on this week. We'll get to the first checkpoint here, which is when the club's parallel to the ground. We talked a lot about which way we want the club face to be pointed because we identified your rolling left arm as one of the leading factors in why the ball why we weren't in as much control of the ball flight as we could be. So we do want that club face to be slightly toed down. We just want to make sure that we're not going to overdo it. I know it's hard to see with the camera angle here, but we've got that club face very closed. Ideally, we'd like that the sole of the club to be on the same line as your spine angle. So if we can get that face to be somewhat more like that, we'd be in good shape. I attached a still image or a black and white picture of exactly what we're looking for to make it a little bit easier to see than we can on this camera angle. Moving over to the left side, I think one of the things that would benefit your takeaway would be to get that wrist hinge set a little bit earlier. So by the time we get to club parallel to the ground, we'd like to have your wrist hinge set. Because what we find is that if you continue to set your wrists later and later in the takeaway, you like to release them a little bit sooner on the downswing, and that's something we know we're fighting. So when we get up to the top of the swing, it would be easy if we get into that wrist hinge position to just continue to turn your shoulders until the shoulders don't turn anymore. It'll feel like a shorter golf swing, but it'll lose that sensation of letting the hinge go earlier on the downswing. So as we work into our downswing now, it's the same story here. We're talking about rotating those hips as much as we can, and as we're rotating those hips, we're basically getting that weight set on the left side, and instead of moving laterally this way, we're just going to move into that barrier beside your left hip and then keep rotating backwards. So pushing your left cheek towards the wall behind you, making sure we're rotating within that barrier instead of bumping into that barrier. And while we're doing that, trying to hang on to that hinge as long as we possibly can. The longer we hang on to that, the better it is. We do a pretty good job here. Get all the drawings out of the way. In this swing at impact, having the hands get there before the club head, that is going to help immensely in making better contact. You'll see here, looking back at the video on the right, this is one that we pull a little bit left, but that we can attribute that one simply to the fact that the club face was just too close on the way back. So it's something we'll continue to work on, but that was a very good start.